Why is it that in a world filled with advanced technology, endless conveniences, and instant communication, we are angrier, more reactive, and more emotionally fragile than ever? We snap at small things, explode over misunderstandings, and let strangers on the internet ruin our entire day. We carry stress, irritation, and resentment as if it were normal. But 2,000 years ago, long before phones, traffic, or deadlines, the Stoics already understood this crisis of human emotion. They knew that a person who cannot control their reactions is a person who will suffer endlessly. And they crafted principles, clear, practical, timeless, designed to help anyone stay calm under pressure, no matter the situation or the people involved. Today, we're going to break down 9 Stoic principles that will help you remain unshaken with anyone and anything. If you want a calmer mind, stronger emotions, and unbreakable inner peace, stay with me. Like, share, and let's begin. 1. Control your first reaction. When something annoys you, embarrasses you, or surprises you in a bad way, notice what happens first. Your body reacts before your mind does. Your stomach tightens, your jaw locks, your heartbeat spikes. It feels automatic, almost uncontrollable. And that's why the Stoics considered the first reaction the most dangerous part of the human experience. Because it's not you, it's your conditioning, your biology, your ego, and your past speaking all at once. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind becomes powerful when it masters itself. This wasn't philosophical poetry. It was a survival skill. He lived through betrayal, plague, war, and political chaos, yet trained himself to pause before letting any impulse take control. The world around him could explode, but he refused to let the explosion happen inside him. Contrast that with modern life. We've become emotionally impatient. Someone cuts us off in traffic, and we react instantly. Someone uses the wrong tone, and we snap. Someone takes too long to text back, and we spiral into overthinking. We react fast because everything around us moves fast. Notifications, conversations, conflicts. But calmness never belongs to the fast. Calmness is built in the spaces we allow ourselves to not respond. Stoicism teaches a simple idea. Your first reaction is instinct. Your second reaction is character. The gap between them is where power is born. When you pause, even for 2 seconds, you interrupt the emotional reflex. It's like stopping a match before it hits gasoline. That pause is your shield. It's the moment where the situation stops controlling you and you start choosing how to move forward. The method is simple but transformative. Pause, breathe, name the trigger. Pause. When emotion rises, freeze. Don't talk. Don't react. Just hold the moment. Breathe. A slow, steady breath resets your brain and signals your body that you're safe. Name the trigger. Identify what happened. That felt disrespectful. That felt unfair. Or that felt dismissive. When you name it, you extract the emotional sting and make the situation objective. Once you do this, something shifts. The world stops feeling like it's happening to you and starts feeling like something you can navigate with intention. Instead of exploding, you respond with clarity. Instead of regretting your words, you choose them. Instead of letting people dictate your emotional state, you keep your dignity intact. People respect those who stay centered. They trust those who don't react impulsively. Calmness signals strength, maturity, and self-command. So train this daily. When the heat rises, don't fire back. Let the wave pass. Own the moment before the moment owns you. 2. Separate facts from interpretation. Most people don't lose their calm because of what happens. They lose their calm because of what they think it means. A delayed reply suddenly means someone is ignoring you. A coworker's short tone suddenly means they disrespect you. A friend canceling plans suddenly means they don't value you. But those are not facts. They're interpretations shaped by fear, ego, and past wounds. Epictetus warned, "It's not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Think about how radical that is. He wasn't saying life is easy or people are always kind. He was saying that the emotional explosion you feel is almost always created by the meaning you attach, not the event itself. Take a simple example. A coworker walks past you without saying hello. Fact, a person walked past you. Interpretation, they hate me. They're upset. They think they're better than me. One fact, 100 possible interpretations, and the moment you collapse them into one negative meaning, you hand over your peace. This principle is about reclaiming that power. It teaches you to pause and ask, what actually happened? And what story am I adding on top of it? When you separate the event from your story, emotions lose their fuel. You stop reacting to the world you invent and start responding to the world that actually exists. Let's take another scenario. Someone snaps at you. Fact, they spoke sharply. Interpretation, they're attacking me. I must defend myself. This is disrespect. But what if they were exhausted, stressed, distracted, battling something you can't see? Does that excuse the behavior? No. Does it help you stay calm? Absolutely. Stoicism doesn't tell you to tolerate bad behavior. It tells you not to create extra suffering through imagined narratives. Here's the practice. Write a mental line between what happened and what you think happened. Whenever you feel the emotional spike, do this quick check. Describe the event in one unemotional sentence. Describe the interpretation you added. Ask, is there any proof for my interpretation? Most of the time, you'll find you're reacting to a thought, not a fact. When you adopt this principle, your emotional life becomes dramatically calmer. You no longer spiral into overthinking. You no longer take everything personally. You no longer get hijacked by assumptions that were never true. People around you will notice the difference, your steadiness, your clarity, your refusal to jump to conclusions. That is emotional intelligence in its purest form. So remember this rule: facts first. Stories later, if ever. That's how you protect your calm from your own mind. 3. Expect discomfort. Don't fear it. One of the biggest reasons people lose their calm is because they expect life to feel smooth. They expect people to be polite, plans to go right, mornings to be peaceful, and situations to unfold the way they imagined. And when reality doesn't match that expectation, frustration explodes. But the Stoics had a different approach. Instead of hoping for ease, they prepare for difficulty. Not in a pessimistic way, but in a strategic, empowering way. Marcus Aurelius started many of his mornings by reminding himself, "You will meet ungrateful, arrogant, impatient people today." Not because he wanted to judge them, but because he wanted to be mentally ready. The modern world teaches think positive. The Stoics taught be prepared. That's a very different kind of strength. When you expect discomfort, you remove its ability to shock you. And when you're no longer shocked, you're no longer reactive. Calmness becomes your natural state because nothing in the day catches you off guard. Think about traffic. If you expect the road to be completely clear, every slowdown feels like an offense. Every honk feels like a personal attack. But if you expect delays, your heart rate doesn't spike. You simply navigate it. The situation didn't change. Your expectation did. Think about relationships. If you expect perfect communication, every misunderstanding feels like disrespect. But if you expect that humans sometimes miscommunicate, you can handle mistakes without anger ruling you. This is where Stoicism becomes a true emotional shield. When you expect the world to challenge you, the world can't shake you. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. It simply means taking a moment at the start of the day to imagine the small difficulties that will likely appear. Not to attract negativity, but to disarm it before it arrives. Try this exercise. Every morning, list 3 things that could go wrong today. Someone might talk to you rudely. A plan might fall apart. You might lose something, forget something, or feel tired. Then ask yourself, if this happens, how will I respond with calm and strength? Suddenly, what used to feel like chaos becomes predictable, and what's predictable no longer throws you off balance. When you live this way, your emotional baseline changes. You stop fighting reality. You stop demanding comfort. You stop viewing challenges as insults. Instead, you see them as training, another round in the gym of life. And here's the twist. When you no longer fear discomfort, people can't control you. Situations can't intimidate you. Unexpected events can't destabilize you. You become grounded, composed, steady. Make this your mantra. I expect challenges, and I'm ready for them. That is the foundation of unbreakable calm. 4. Focus only on what you can control. Almost every moment of lost calm comes from one simple mistake: trying to control what was never yours to control. You get irritated because someone didn't act the way you expected. You get anxious because the future won't cooperate with your plans. You get stressed because outcomes don't unfold the way you want. In the Stoic worldview, this is emotional self-sabotage, because the more energy you spend trying to control the uncontrollable, the more powerless and reactive you become. Epictetus put it bluntly: some things are up to us, and some things are not. This may be the single most important dividing line in all of philosophy. Draw that line clearly, and you gain peace. Blur it, and you lose yourself. Think about how much of your day is spent worrying about things outside your reach. How someone feels about you, whether someone texts back, whether people respect you, whether a meeting goes perfectly, whether life follows your timeline. None of this is fully yours, and the moment you cling to it, frustration tightens around you like a rope. Stoicism teaches that your real power begins the moment you shift your attention from outcomes to actions, from people's behavior to your own behavior, from external chaos to internal order. Here's the exercise the Stoics practiced daily. Ask yourself, in every difficult moment, is this mine to control? If yes, act. If no, release. This isn't avoidance, it's alignment. It's choosing to use your strength where it actually matters. For example, someone speaks to you disrespectfully. Not in your control. Their attitude, their maturity, their choices. In your control, your tone, your boundaries, your response. A plan collapses unexpectedly. Not in your control, the circumstances. In your control, your adaptability, your next step, your calm. Your partner, friend, or colleague disappoints you. Not in your control, their habits and decisions. In your control, how you communicate, what you tolerate, and whether you stay. When you see this clearly, irritation dissolves. You stop trying to grip the oceans with your hands. You stop trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. You stop trying to force life into a shape that isn't meant to be forced. And a strange thing happens. The less you try to control everything, the more control you actually gain. Not over the world, over yourself. You become steady. You become grounded. You become emotionally untouchable. People who stay calm aren't lucky. They're aligned. They invest energy only where it can make a difference. So practice this rule today. My actions are mine. Everything else is noise. Let that guide you, and you'll protect your peace in any situation. 5. Don't take things personally. If there is one habit that destroys inner peace more than almost anything else, it is taking everything personally. Someone uses a sharp tone and you assume it's about you. Someone forgets to include you and you assume it's an attack. Someone acts distant and you assume you did something wrong. But most of the time, what people do is a reflection of their inner world, not yours. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology. They taught that human beings act from their own beliefs, pains, fears, and conditioning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must understand what people are before you can judge their actions." In other words, don't make yourself the center of every story. Think about how heavy life becomes when you take things personally. You carry emotional weight that was never yours. You fight battles that were never meant for you. You let the moods of other people dictate the weather inside your own mind. That's not emotional intelligence. It's emotional slavery. People snap because they're stressed. People ignore because they're overwhelmed. People act cold because they're tired or insecure. People withdraw because they're dealing with things you know nothing about. None of this has to be about you. This principle is not about letting people mistreat you. It's about refusing to create unnecessary suffering through assumptions. When you take everything personally, you blur the line between someone else's behavior and your own identity. Stoicism restores that line. Here's a simple, game-changing practice. When someone's behavior triggers you, ask, "Is this about me or about them?" If you don't have clear evidence it's about you, don't carry it. For example, a friend gives a short reply. That doesn't automatically mean you upset them. It might mean they're distracted, busy, or drained. A coworker seems irritated. That doesn't make you the cause. It may be pressure, deadlines, or personal problems. A stranger is rude. That says everything about their mindset and nothing about your worth. When you adopt this principle, your emotional landscape changes dramatically. You stop feeling attacked. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop crafting imaginary scenarios that drain your energy. You develop a kind of emotional Teflon. Things hit you but don't stick. You listen without absorbing. You observe without internalizing. You respond without defensiveness. This is how calm people operate. They don't assume the world is against them. They assume people are fighting invisible battles. They give space instead of taking offense. And because of that, they navigate life with steadiness, composure, and dignity. Make this your rule. Not everything is about me, and that is my freedom. Follow it, and you'll stop giving your peace away to the storms inside others. 6. Choose reason over emotion. Most people believe emotions come first and logic comes later. But in reality, emotions come fast, and reason arrives only if you make room for it. When you react from emotion, you become a passenger inside your own mind, tossed around by impulses, triggers, and old wounds. When you react from reason, you become the driver. You choose the direction, the speed, and the tone of every interaction. That is what the Stoics trained for their entire lives. Not to erase emotion, but to rise above its chaos. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that the only thing truly within his command was the judgment he applied to events, not the events themselves, not the behavior of others, just the judgment. That judgment is your logic, your ability to pause, step back, and choose the interpretation that serves you rather than destroys your peace. But here's the truth. Modern life doesn't teach you. Emotions are loud, but loud doesn't mean true. You can feel disrespected without being disrespected. You can feel attacked without being attacked. You can feel insecure without being in danger. Emotion is a signal, not a command. Choosing reason doesn't mean suppressing how you feel. It means recognizing the difference between a feeling and a fact. Feelings are temporary waves. Facts are the shoreline. Waves pass. The shoreline stays. The more you anchor yourself in reason, the less you get swept away. Here's a Stoic technique that can change your entire emotional life. Stoic. Stop, take a breath, observe, interpret, choose. Stop, freeze the emotional reflex. Don't reply, don't argue, don't defend. Take a breath. Calm your physiology so your logic can return. Observe, Notice what you feel without judging it. Anger, embarrassment, fear, irritation. Interpret. Ask, what else could this mean? This breaks emotional certainty. Choose. Select the response that aligns with who you want to be, not with how you feel in the moment. Imagine someone criticizes you harshly. Emotional reaction. They're attacking me. Reasoned interpretation. This is data, maybe useful, maybe useless, but not a threat. Emotional reaction. Snap back, defend, escalate. Reasoned response. Stay calm, clarify, redirect, or walk away. One drains your power, the other multiplies it. When you consistently choose reason, people start treating you differently. You become the steady person in the room, the one who doesn't get rattled. Your words carry more weight because they're not reactive. They're deliberate. Others feel safer around you. Conversations become clearer. Conflicts become manageable. And every area of your life, relationships, career, decision-making, rises in quality. Emotion will always knock first, but reason decides whether it gets to enter. Make this your vow. I feel deeply, but I respond wisely. That is how you keep your calm in a world full of emotional chaos. 7. Embrace silence before you speak. In a world where everyone talks fast, reacts fast, argues fast, and posts fast, silence feels unnatural. People rush to fill every pause, defend every point, and answer every comment as if the world will collapse if they wait 3 seconds. But silence, intentional silence, is one of the most powerful tools for staying calm, thinking clearly, and maintaining control in any situation. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed the person who speaks least often understands the most. Seneca warned that more words often mean less clarity, and he was right. When emotions rise, your mouth becomes the quickest weapon, but also the quickest source of regret. Think about how many times you've said something too soon, too emotionally, too harshly, or too defensively, only to wish you could take it back. Words spoken in haste burn bridges, escalate tension, and often create problems much bigger than the moment that triggered them. Silence, however, slows everything down. Silence gives you space to think. Silence diffuses your emotional spikes. Silence forces the other person to reveal more of their true intention. In many interactions, the one who stays silent first holds the real power, not because they are passive, but because they are deliberate. Here's what silence does for your calm. It buys you time to think. It lowers emotional temperature. It prevents unnecessary conflict. It exposes hidden truths in the other person. It stops you from speaking under the influence of anger or fear. A simple rule can change your relationships, arguments, and emotional stability. Wait 2 seconds before you speak. Just 2 seconds. It sounds small, but it can save friendships, prevent arguments, and keep your dignity intact. Try this in a real situation. Someone snaps at you. Your instinct is to fire back. Pause. Stay silent for 2 seconds. You'll notice your initial anger peak, then soften. You'll notice the other person often realizes their tone and adjusts. You'll notice that clarity replaces impulse. Or imagine someone asks you something triggering, an accusation, a criticism, a sarcastic remark. Silence forces them to sit with their words. It shifts the emotional pressure back onto their side. It makes them confront whether what they said actually makes sense. Silence is not weakness. It's composure. It's maturity. It's emotional strategy. Calm people don't rush to speak because they don't need to prove themselves every second. They choose their words the way a warrior chooses weapons, carefully, intentionally, and only when necessary. And here's the deeper truth. A silent mind is harder to provoke. A silent pause is harder to manipulate. A silent presence is harder to disrespect. Make this your discipline. I don't speak to react, I speak to respond. Let silence come first, and your calm will follow every time. 8. Accept people as they are. One of the fastest ways to lose your calm is expecting people to be different from who they actually are. You expect someone to be thoughtful, and they disappoint you. You expect someone to be honest, and they lie. You expect someone to be consistent, and they vanish. Every time your expectations clash with reality, frustration erupts. But the Stoics understood a truth most people still struggle to accept. You cannot change people. You can only understand them and choose your response. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he would encounter selfish, ungrateful, jealous, impatient, rude, and ignorant people. Not because he hated them, but because he recognized that human beings behave according to their nature, their upbringing, their wounds, and their worldview. Once you accept this, you stop taking their behavior personally and stop wasting energy trying to redesign their character. Acceptance is not approval. Acceptance is clarity. It is the understanding that a person acts according to who they are, not who you wish they were. When you cling to your ideal version of someone, you suffer. When you accept their real version, you choose power instead of pain. Think about how often your calm is stolen by expectations. You expect maturity from someone who has never practiced it. You expect consistency from someone who lacks discipline. You expect empathy from someone who never learned emotional awareness. You expect loyalty from someone who is loyal only to themselves. When you expect the impossible, you set yourself up for disappointment. But when you accept reality, you make grounded decisions. Keep them in your life, set boundaries, or step back. Whatever you choose it with calm, not with emotional chaos. Here's the truth. People reveal themselves through patterns, not promises. If someone repeatedly shows you who they are, believe it. Acceptance protects you from the cycle of hope, disappointment, resentment, and overreaction. It frees you from the emotional roller coaster of expecting growth from someone who hasn't even acknowledged their flaws. Try this Stoic exercise. Observe, don't project. When someone's behavior triggers you, ask, what pattern have they shown me? Is my frustration coming from who they are or who I want them to be? Am I reacting to reality or to a fantasy I invented? This level of honesty dissolves emotional turbulence. You stop arguing with someone's nature. You stop begging for change. You stop fighting battles that don't belong to you. Instead, you operate from clarity and composure. Acceptance gives you 3 gifts. Emotional freedom, you stop carrying unnecessary frustration. Better decisions. You choose your relationships based on reality. Unshakable calm. You navigate life with less disappointment and more wisdom. Make this your principle. I see people as they are, and I choose how close they get to me. That is calmness rooted in strength, not illusion. 9. Anchor yourself in virtue, not reactions. At the core of Stoic philosophy lies one timeless idea. Your life is defined not by what happens to you, but by the principles you choose to live by. Most people lose their calm because they live in reaction mode. They let emotions, impulses, insults, disappointments, and unpredictable people dictate their behavior. They react to every tone, every word, every inconvenience. But when you anchor yourself in virtue, in your inner code, you rise above the chaos of the moment. You act from strength, not from emotional turbulence. The Stoics believed that the 4 virtues, wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice, serve as pillars that steady the mind. When your actions come from these virtues, your calm stops being fragile. It becomes unshakable, because then your mood, your reactions, and your decisions no longer depend on circumstances or the behavior of others. They depend on your character, something only you control. Let's break this down. Wisdom keeps you from overreacting. It asks, is this worth my peace? Courage helps you stay steady when emotions rise or confrontation appears. Temperance keeps your impulses in check. It's the discipline to respond slowly. Justice keeps your actions aligned with fairness, even when others act unfairly. When you use these virtues as your compass, your emotions stop running the show. The moment someone annoys you, instead of slipping into anger, you ask, what is the virtuous response here? Not, what do I feel like doing? Not, how do I get even? Not, how do I prove a point? But, what choice aligns with the person I'm trying to become? That question alone can transform your mental life. For example, someone accuses you unfairly. Your reaction might be anger or defensiveness. Your virtuous response might be clarity, patience, or simply stepping away. Someone acts disrespectfully. Your reaction might be to match their tone. Your virtuous response might be to set a boundary calmly. Someone disappoints you. Your reaction might be resentment. Your virtuous response might be honesty, detachment, or redefining the relationship. Virtue gives you standards. Standards give you stability, and stability gives you calm. Modern life tells you to follow your feelings. Stoicism tells you to follow your values. Feelings fluctuate. Values stabilize. When you live by virtue, people can't manipulate you through guilt, anger, or provocation. Situations can't shake you into emotional chaos, and your own impulses lose their ability to sabotage your peace. Anchoring yourself in virtue turns life into a series of conscious choices, not emotional accidents. You stop acting like a thermostat, reacting to heat and cold. You become the architect who sets the temperature. Make this your final rule. I act from principles, not from impulses. When your actions come from your highest values, your calm becomes a force that nothing and no one can break. You've just walked through 9 Stoic principles that can change the way you experience every conversation, every conflict, and every challenge in your life. These aren't abstract ideas. They are practical tools, simple, clear, and powerful, meant to be used in real moments. When someone raises their voice, when plans fall apart, when emotions spike, when life throws something unexpected at you. Remember, calmness is not something you are born with. It's something you build, one choice at a time. Every pause you take, every assumption you question, every reaction you replace with intention, these are the bricks of your inner fortress, and that fortress grows stronger each day you practice. You don't need to master all 9 principles at once. Choose one. Use it today. Use it in the next difficult conversation, the next stressful moment, the next emotional trigger. Let that one principle become a habit. Then add another. Transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens in repeated moments where you choose strength over impulse. If this message spoke to you, let me know which principle hit the deepest. Like the video, share it with someone who needs more calm in their life, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. And carry this with you. Your peace is your power. Protect it like something priceless, because it is.